Long before Walmart, long before Amazon, before most Americans had ever set foot in a supermarket, one company controlled more grocery stores than anyone on earth. You knew it by the red and gold sign that hung over Main Street in almost every town in the country. A&P. At its peak, the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company had nearly 16,000 stores, coast to coast. It sold about 10 cents of every single dollar Americans spent on groceries. For decades, it wasn't just the largest grocery chain in the country. It was the largest retailer in America of any kind. It was, in its day, what Walmart and Amazon are in ours. And then it vanished. In 2015, after 156 years, the last A&P closed its doors, and one of the greatest retail empires in the history of the world was simply gone. And here is the strange part. Walmart wasn't what killed it. A&P was already losing its grip decades before Walmart sold its first bag of groceries. Because the real story here isn't about a tougher competitor. It's about a company that invented one revolution in the way America shopped, conquered the world with it, and then could not survive the next revolution when it came. And along the way, it made one enemy almost nobody would expect. Stay with me. It began, like a lot of American empires, with two men and a small idea. In 1859, George Huntington Hartford and his partner started selling tea out of a storefront in New York City. Their idea was simple and radical. Cut out the middlemen, buy in enormous quantities, and sell to ordinary families for far less than anyone else. They called them economy stores, and Americans, especially working families counting every penny, absolutely loved them. A&P grew and grew and grew. It made its own products and put them right on the shelf. Ann Page groceries and a coffee you might still have in your kitchen today. 8 o'clock coffee. It undercut every corner grocer in America on price. And by 1921, this tea company had done something staggering. It had passed Sears to become the single largest retailer in the entire world. For a working family in the 1930s and 40s, the A&P wasn't a store. It was how you survived, how you fed your kids well on a factory wage. It was the great equalizer of the American kitchen. But a company that big makes enemies, and by the 1940s, A&P had made a powerful one, the United States government. In one of the most talked about antitrust cases of its era, federal prosecutors accused A&P of abusing its sheer size, of using its enormous buying power to squeeze suppliers for special deals and discounts that its smaller competitors could never hope to get. In 1946, the company was convicted of conspiring to restrain trade. And then the government went further and went to court to try to break the giant apart. People still argue about that case today. Some say it was Washington punishing a company simply for being too efficient, for driving prices down and passing the savings on to families. Others say A&P really was throwing its weight around in ways that crushed the little guy. There is truth on both sides. In the end, A&P avoided being broken up, but only by giving up part of its business. And here is what mattered most. The giant had spent years fighting Washington. But the greater threat was already taking shape somewhere else. The ground under American retail was quietly shifting, and the road was about to turn. After the war, America picked up and moved to the suburbs. And out there, a new kind of store was taking over. The big, bright supermarket, with wide aisles and a huge parking lot where a family could load up a cart for the whole week. And here is the cruel irony at the heart of this story. A&P, the company that had reinvented American retail once, refused to reinvent itself again. It clung to its thousands of small, old, cramped corner stores while its rivals built the future in the suburbs. The visionary who built the empire, John Hartford, died in 1951, and the vision seemed to die with him. The men who came after managed the decline. They did not stop it. From there, the fall was long and quiet. Decade after decade, A&P shrank. The stores closed, a few at a time, then a few hundred at a time. The red and gold signs came down across the country, in town after town, and were replaced by chains with newer names. The empire that once sold 1/10 of America's groceries slowly starved, selling off pieces of itself to stay alive, until there was almost nothing left. And in 2015, the company filed for bankruptcy one final time, and the very last A&P in America turned off its lights. Imagine you were one of the millions of families who grew up with that store. Your grandmother bought her tea there. Your mother sent you there with a note and a few coins, and you carried the bag home. You could find that red and gold sign in a strange town and feel like you were somewhere safe. And then, one year, you drove past the old spot, and it was a parking lot, or a discount chain you didn't recognize, and the sign was just gone. That is the thing about how these giants really die. We like to tell ourselves that a bigger, tougher competitor came along and beat them fair and square, and sometimes that's part of it. But A&P wasn't simply beaten by Walmart. It was worn down over decades. It got tangled in a long war with its own government. And most of all, it was passed by a whole new America, the suburbs, the automobile, the giant supermarket, a future it could have led and refused to join. In the end, the company that taught America how to shop couldn't teach itself how to change. It was the biggest store on earth, and it stood still. Today, the red and gold sign is gone from Main Street. But if you are old enough, you remember it. You remember when that store was simply everywhere. When feeding a family meant a trip to the A&P, when the whole country, rich and poor, walked through those same doors. So if you ever shopped at an A&P, or worked behind that counter, or still keep a can of 8 o'clock coffee out of pure habit, tell me about it in the comments. Tell me your town. Because empires like this one don't fall all at once. They fall one closed store at a time, one lost sign at a time, one forgotten name at a time. And the least we can do is remember how big they once were. Subscribe and stick around for more stories of the giants that built this country and the reasons they disappeared.